Good morning. Do we wait for some more time or do we start the session? So I'm starting with today's session. Today's session is very basic. We'll just complete the spine, the splints that's left, and we'll try to fix first. So basically, today we'll complete the orthognathic tutorial that we have been doing, right? So I'll start sharing my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So as per our yesterday's simulation, this is how our simulated cast look like, right? This is the correction that we had brought about in the patient, right? So, but if you see here, this region, I'll just take only one single cast to explain, right? This is an open surface. So, what do I mean by an open surface? Uh, if you see my extrusion part, I'm just hiding this maxilla cast. From all sides, it's a closed surface. So you don't see any borders or any irregular borders or any irregular surfaces. But when I switch on the maxilla cast STL, you see this red internal surface, right? And these irregular borders, that means it's an open surface. And when you work with an open surface, it gives you irregular outputs or irregular results. So before proceeding with this, what you will have to do is you will have to close this or you have to fix this surface, right? So for this, fixing these surfaces, there's something called as fix. So you have a complete tool dedicated to fixing. So under fix, we'll go to fix wizard, right? So when you click on the fix wizard, the properties or the dialog box for the fix will open up. This indicates the diagnostics and the combined fixing. So you have two options. What diagnostics does is it allows you to fix each: normals, stitching, noise shells, holes, triangles, overlaps. I will come to each one by one. What combined fixing does is the software will auto fix the file for you. You don't have to like go step by step into each one of the parameters, right? Let's first go to diagnostics. So under diagnostics, you have normal, stitching, noise shells. What are these? These are the different parameters on the basis of which the software tests if the file is fixed or not, or if the file is correct or not, right? Hmm. So what I'll do is once my diagnostics in my diagnostics, I'll have to select my part. So my part right now is reposition maxilla. I can choose any of the part. So you can see under the part, as I click, the entity changes. So my part, I'll select reposition maxilla cast, right? Then I will click on update. First, the most important part is under diagnostics, you'll have to select full analysis option, right? When you have selected the full analysis option, you will see everything: inverted normals, bad edges, shells, overlapping triangles, everything is selected. Okay, I'll have to update it. What update does is the update algorithm basically detects all the things that is wrong with your file, right? So right now, if I'm supposed to see, this is the issue what I'm facing with my file. This is the issue that I'm facing with my file, which means it has inverted normals, it has bad edges, it has bad edges, it has shells, it has overlapping triangles, it has intersecting triangles. So let's understand what is what. When I go to normals, what I see is inverted normals. Okay. So do we all know that a triangle has normals? Normal is basically the angle, the perpendicular angle of a triangle. So uh, I'm going to change the view. So to change the view to triangle, what I'm going to do is in my quick access toolbar, just below at the very bottom, you see there's toolbar options. I'll click the toolbar options. Then I'll go to the viewing option and change it to fill triangles with triangle edges. So what you now notice is I can visualize all the triangles the model is made up of, right? So inverted normals means there are few triangles in this complete model. There are three triangles basically that have an angle that does not match the normal of its adjacent triangle, right? So what I have to do is I have to fix this. I'll click apply and then I'll do update. So you see the zero. So the software has automatically fixed that function for you, right? I'll just go back and change it to smooth shaded. Yeah, right. Then what I'll do is I'll again go to diagnostics, I'll update it. So now you see we have fixed one parameter. Now stitching. So again, stitching, since we fixed the normals, the stitching is also zero. Going to something called as noise shells. So let's first understand what is a shell. Each part is made up of one shell, right? Each solid part is made up of one shell. I would repeat, solid part made up of one shell, right? So if I go to mark, in the mark menu, I'll have multiple options. What I'll choose is mark shell. So what it does is it helps me isolate my single part. So I've selected this as my one shell. But when I invert my marking, that means other than this part, if there is any other small noise present in this part, I would want to see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the invert marking option. I'll invert it. What it does it, if I'm zooming in, I can see there are some small fragments present. So this is basically nothing but your noise shells. So your solid fixed part should compose of your only one entity, that is your original part as a single shell, right? So now what we have to do is we have to delete these extra part. So I'm just going to right click and delete. So my noise shells are deleted. Now what I'll do is I'll update. So I'll go to diagnostics and I'll try to update it. Right. So my normals are fixed, my stitching is done, my noise shells are fixed. Coming to holes. What is a hole? Basically, this blue contour, this blue circle that you're seeing right now, the blue border right now, it's an open surface, right? So this open surface, the software is taking this open region as a hole. Basically, it's telling me that this surface is open at this junction and this hole or this open surface has to be closed. So I'll have to click apply. When I hit apply, the software will automatically fill it. But now when I see the filling, while filling it, you can see this red inverted part. It is taking an overlapping surface, which is not feasible for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to undo this function of filling the hole. I'll have to manually fill this. Right now, this was an automatic function, right? But this I'll have to automatically fill. And how do we automatically fill holes? As I told you, you'll have to go to the fix menu. Fix, there's something called as a create bridge option. So what you have to do is you have to manually create small bridges first and then fill it using the software. So what I am doing is I'm trying to create, I am trying to, instead of filling one complete big hole, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to segregate this one entire big circle into small cut sections or small pieces, which will help me fill in through the software easier and help me give proper contours or regions. So I'm going to use the option of create bridge. So when I use select create bridge function, what happens is, let me just shorten this. When I select the create bridge function from here, like fix, create bridge, in the operations, you can see the create bridge function available. So now what I'm going to do is from edge to edge, I have to create a bridge or create a connection. Creating bridge is nothing but creating connections. So any point, any random point I'll take and I'll start creating bridges. It's very important to fix the file before we move on to creation of creating splints, because otherwise you will not get the correct output. Like if we remember yesterday, after subtracting the extrusion part from the tooth, what we received was a red part. So the red indicates that the part is not fixed.
So should we not treat our cast model STLs first, even before proceeding with the planning? Can we do that?
we can do
So
that.
we
That's
have
not
good
a
files.
problem. Yes मैम, that's not a problem, but वो एक ही होता है कि आप ये वाले, because इसके पहले कैसा होता है ना कि you don't require fixed files. आपको मिमिक्स में, जैसे मैंने बोला था, आप मिमिक्स में जो भी STL बनाते हैं उसको प्रिंटिंग के पहले आपको फिक्स करना ही पड़ेगा. तो जो मिमिक्स में रिपोजिशन और सब करते हैं उसमें फाइल फिक्स्ड हो या सरफेस ओपन हो, इट डजंट हैव एनी इम्पैक्ट पर से. तो यहाँ पे जैसे मिमिक्स में थ्रीमैटिक में आपको फिक्सेशन का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस रहता है. बिना फिक्सेशन के कुछ कुछ स्टेप्स करेक्टली हो ही नहीं पाएंगे आपसे. So that's the reason in Mimics you can proceed irrespective, but in Threematic, of course, once you import the file, you can first go for fixing the files. That shouldn't be a problem. But I just wanted to highlight कि अगर आपके files fix नहीं होंगे तो आपको subtraction के results कितने irregular आएंगे, इसलिए मैंने पहले file fix नहीं किया था. So that we could see the wrong output as also. So I've just created these sections. I will try and create more sections here. So what I'm doing is मैं ये अंदर वाले surface को लेके यहाँ पे एक surface create कर रही हूँ. Again, these bridges are as per your wish. जैसे मैं अपने हिसाब से इसको कर रही हूँ ताकि मैं जितने कम sections में इसको दूंगी input, उतने ज़्यादा वो better holes fill करेगा मेरे लिए. So I'm just creating as many bridges I am able to. So let me further go here. I would want to create. Right. So now when I click on, I want to notice this. When I click on update planar holes, it is recalculating the number of holes present in this model. So clicked on update. Now you see there are 6 holes. So basically from that one section, I've created 6 more sections. And now I'll click apply. I hope you can see the difference. So now this is done. We have created. अब मैं वापस diagnostics में जाऊंगी और एक final update लूंगी इसका. I'm just increasing the size and going on update. After filling, it has further created so many shells. So what I'll do is I'll just click on mark shell. I will isolate my important shell by clicking on the original STL that I would want to retain. And then I'll click on invert marking option and right click, delete.
Excuse me, I just missed the step where you updated the bridges.
Okay, so basically what update the bridges was, जब आपने पहले देखा रहेगा इसमें one hole था. After creating the bridges, when I click on update, what it will do is आपने जितने bridges बनाए रहेंगे उसके हिसाब से वो आपके बड़े वाले hole को recalculate करेगा और आपने और कितने sections create करे हैं. जैसे हमने one hole को 6 holes में divide किया था तो वहाँ पे 6 number आ गया था. Right, and then and then you can click apply. What apply does is apply makes the software do the algorithm, performs the algorithm. तो उसने algorithm perform करके holes फिर fill कर दिए. And then once we could see the holes filled and जैसे मैंने देखा कि यहाँ पे मुझे कुछ error नहीं आया है internally, तभी जैसे एक red surface create हो गया था जो hinder कर रहा था. So palette region पे, so that's the reason we had to recreate those bridges. Like the first reason to recreate the bridges was that कि हमारे पैलेट रीजन पे वो एक अननेसेसरी सरफेस क्रिएट कर रहा था which was what we say which is not which is what we say not which does not match the regular anatomy basically. तो इसीलिए हमको फिर वो ब्रिजेस से उसको और छोटा करना पड़ा. सो आइडियली आई वुड सजेस्ट कि जब आप पहले ही इसको करेंगे तो एक अप्लाई प्लेनर होल को पहले 1 होल्स पे ही अप्लाई करके देखिए. अगर सॉफ्टवेयर करेक्ट होल फिलिंग ले लेता है, ठीक से होल फिल कर देता है, तो आपको ब्रिजेस बनाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. बट जस्ट इन केस इट टेक्स इरेगुलर सरफेस या वो एरर ले रहा है, तब आप जाके ब्रिजेस बनाइए. राइट. सो गोइंग अहेड विद दिस डायग्नोस्टिक्स में हमने उसको अपडेट किया था. शेल्स को हमने मार्क शेल से डिलीट किया. How do we do that? Under the mark operation, we have something called as mark triangle. मैं एक एक करके भी आपको मार्क करके दिखाती हूँ. What does mark triangle do is basically वो आपको एक सिंगल ट्रायंगल लेगा. तो अगर इसको बेटर विजुअलाइज करना है तो let's first change our view to triangles. Yes, filled with triangle edges. So I've selected now mark triangle. When you hover over any icon, it will tell you what it does. So when I mark select triangle, वो एक एक इंडिविजुअल ट्रायंगल जो इसमें प्रेजेंट है उसको सेलेक्ट करेगा. Now what happens when I select mark plane? Basically what software now does is it creates a plane under its own assumption. जैसे ये एक सिंगल प्लेन में आता है इतना सारा रीजन, तो ये वन सिंगल प्लेन के हिसाब से आपको मार्किंग देगा. So when you select on any one point, it will automatically create a plane as per its understanding. So इस plane का input आप नहीं दे सकते, सॉफ्टवेयर अपने हिसाब से एक plane create करेगा और आपका marking लेगा. Now what if I have marked all this and I don't want to either delete it or work with these files? तो आपको एक यहाँ पे option रहेगा unmark all करके. So I will go to the unmark all option and all the markings are lost. Right? There's something called as smooth region entity. So when I click on entity, so it will just help me select कि मुझे कौन से entity में मेरी markings करने हैं. So इसने मेरा वो part मेरे लिए select किया है. Right. So we know what mark shell does. This is mark expand. तो कभी-कभी कैसा होता है ना कि आपने ये वाला रीजन मार्क किया है, बट यू वांट टू फर्दर एक्सपांड इट विद इन दिस पार्ट ओनली, तो आप ये एक्सपैंड पे क्लिक कर सकते हैं. तो उसने अपने हिसाब से उस प्लेन को और थोड़ा एक्सपैंड किया. मैं कंट्रोल Z कर रही हूँ so that we can visualize what it actually did it with a zoom in view. So I've clicked on expand. So it's further expanded it. Again, you can, there's something called as diminishing. So shrink. जैसे expand होता है वैसे shrink भी करेगा. So these are basically multiple options which will help you mark your triangles. ये आपके tools अलग होते हैं. Right now I'm using my arrow or my cursor. What these will do is this will either give me like a brush surface. Let me, हाँ. And ये इसका dimension, ये जो brush create हुआ है, इसका dimension मैं operations window से control कर सकती हूँ. So right now this is at 0.75. Decrease the size. तो अगर आप देख रहे हैं right now this is at 0.75. If I click here 5, my brush dimensions has increased. So you can control it from here. Then there's something called as lasso. So again, basically these are your different functions or different options. Instead of cursor, there are other tools that you can use. So lasso is like a wire. I'll change the view so we can understand. देयर आर अदर व्यूज ऑल्सो, जैसे वायर फ्रेम हो गया, ट्राइंगल नोड्स हो गया, तो एज पर आपको जो कंफर्टेबल लगता है आप उसके हिसाब से चूज कर सकते हैं. सो आई वाज शोइंग लासो. तो इफ यू कैन सी, एक ऑरेंज सा लाइन क्रिएट हो रहा है. So whatever is within this boundary, it will consider as marked region. So whatever is within this orange boundary that you create, it will consider as the internal region will be considered as to be marked. Right. So if we have understood the mark menu, I will just unmark all this and further proceed in fixing the model. So हमने जो extra noisials थे वो mark unmark करके निकाल दिए, right? And then again updating my fix module to see कि अभी क्या बचा है fixing के लिए. Clicked on update. The file has crashed due to some reason. Let me just open the restored file that I have. This is one of the reason I keep saying कि आपको हर 5-10 मिनट में फाइल सेव करनी है, because sometimes you will not even understand and the file will just randomly crash on you. तो शायद से आपका जो भी progress आपने किया रहेगा, it will be lost. So let me see कि मेरा कहाँ तक auto save हुआ है. So I'm just clicking on thematic का icon and restarting the software. Is my window visible for thematic?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So what I want you to, why I wanted you to see from the step 1 is this, कि जब भी आपके files crash हो जाएंगे, you know, due to some any technical issue that might be occurring, you'll always have an option called as recovery file was found. So you will just click yes. तो आपका आपके सॉफ्टवेयर ने जितने तक ऑटो सेव किया रहेगा आपका फाइल, वो लेवल तक आपको ये वापस रिकवर करने में हेल्प करेगा. सो नॉट ऑल द प्रोग्रेस विल बी लॉस्ट टिल अ सर्टेन सेक्शन. जहां तक आपके सॉफ्टवेयर ने वो ऑटो रिकवर कर पाया होगा, तब तक आपको ये मिल जाएगा. वैसा होता है. So that is why there is always recovery option available. So at least 50% of the things you will be able to get. right. So if you see, create bridge तक शायद से इसने auto save किया रहेगा सॉफ्टवेयर ने, तो मुझे वो मिला है. But again, in create bridge also, if you see, it's not auto saved all the things. इसने सिर्फ 3 bridges ही लिए हैं. So I'll again have to start. I'll go to fix create bridge option and I'll give it input. I'm creating more sections. Now, if you see, these are like a very, if I'm zooming in, if you see the bridge is very perpendicular straight bridge. Now, if I check box this option, that's a curve bridge option. The curve bridge option, right? I would want you to notice the bridge created with that function. So I'm just clicking on one and clicking on this point. So मैं ज़्यादा difference नहीं समझ रहा, मैं ये वाला point ले रही हूँ और so you see the angle or the curve the bridge is taking. उसी के comparison में मैं एक normal bridge बनाऊंगी ताकि आपको difference समझे. And I'm just changing the angle so you can view. So you see ये bridge ने एक अच्छा, if you can see my cursor moving, you can see the curvature the curve bridge is taken and the difference in the perpendicular bridge. So again, as per the curvature, you can decide if you want to go for a perpendicular straight bridge or you want to go for a curve bridge. So I'm going to take this to here. Now, each individual operation or the diagnostic function that we performed in the fix wizard is also available as an individual function. जैसे fill hole हमने किया था वहां पे, तो यहाँ पे आपके पास 3 ऑप्शन रहेंगे: fill hole ruled, fill hole freeform, mass hole filler. So if I go to fix, here are my options. This is my fill hole freeform, and mass hole filler. So I just want to, I'll show you the difference that each fill option does. What fill hole normal does is, if I select this contour, तो मुझे ये bad contour select करना है. This corner contour that you see, that incomplete contour is a bad contour. तो मैंने ये bad contour select किया. I'll start from the top. Fix, fill hole, normal, right? तो मैंने जब fill hole normal select किया, तो यहाँ मेरे operations में उसका window आ गया. And then there comes an option operations as entity. So my entity has to be the contour that I want to fill. So here I want to fill this bad contour. So I've selected that bad contour and I've clicked on apply. एक फ्लैट सरफेस सा क्रिएट हो गया यहाँ पे, राइट? आई एम कंट्रोल Z कर रही हूँ मैं इसको. सेम कॉन्टूर को अभी मैं फिल होल फ्री फॉर्म से करूंगी. सो व्हेन आई क्लिक ऑन फिल होल फ्री फॉर्म, again in the operations tab, I will have my dialog box for different parameters in the function visible. In the entities, I'll select the same bad contour again, right? And I click apply. I want you to notice the difference between the two surfaces created. So if you this is a far more smoother surface than your previous one. So to compare, मैं ये वाले contour को normal से भरती हूँ, so that we have something to compare both the forms. So we are right now comparing fill hole normal and fill hole free form. So I want you to notice the triangulations between the two. सो अगेन जैसे यहाँ पे इसका इतना ज्यादा कुछ इम्पैक्ट नहीं है, अगर आपने नॉर्मल से भी किया रहता सारा होल्स तो एक ही पड़ता, बट इन PSI दिस मेक्स अ डिफरेंस व्हेन यू आर मेकिंग पेशेंट स्पेसिफिक इम्प्लांट्स, बिकॉज आपको वो सर्फेसेस बहुत स्मूथ होने चाहिए एंड आपका जो शेप है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस रखता है डिजाइनिंग के वक्त, तब आपको फिल होल फ्री फॉर्म का ऑप्शन बेहतर पड़ेगा देन योर फिल होल नॉर्मल ऑपरेशन, राइट? So as the name suggests, fill hole normal आपको perpendicular surface भर देगा between the two bridges or between the contour. Based on the boundaries of the contour, it will just create a perpendicular surface. What fill hole freeform does is, it will create a smooth curved surface as per the contour. So as per the curvature and the contours observed, जैसा आपने देखा रहेगा यहाँ पे dip है तो यहाँ पे surface creation में भी dip form हुआ है. तो जैसे आपका सरफेस रहेगा, जैसे आपके बॉर्डर्स रहेंगे, ये उनको ध्यान में रखते हुए फिल होल फ्री फॉर्म विल क्रिएट अ सरफेस, whereas fill hole normal irrespective of the contour will just take create one normal plane with respect to the contour and fill a flat surface. Right, now we'll go to multi hole filler. What this does is, ठीक है, तो मास होल फिलर में आपका एंटिटी आपके बॉर्डर्स नहीं होंगे, आपका पार्ट होगा. सो व्हेन आई सिलेक्ट दिस एंटिटी में मैंने पार्ट सिलेक्ट किया है. ये क्या करेगा, इसके अगर आप नीचे आते हैं तो थ्रेशोल्ड पैरामीटर्स दिखते हैं. सो टाइप इज नंबर ऑफ एजेस और बैड कॉन्टूर लेंथ. सो मैंने नंबर ऑफ एजेस किया है और थ्रेशोल्ड मैंने 500 रखा है. सो व्हाट दिस डज इज, आपके पूरे पार्ट में कितने फाइल्स है, 500 500 mm एजेस तक, उन सबको वो ऑटो डिटेक्ट करेगा और वो सारे होल्स को एक साथ फिल करेगा. Till now, if you see, we were just giving one hole individually, one contour individually. Mass hole filler, as the name suggests, will fill in all the holes present in the entire model. But आपका ये threshold value will play an importance. So first, let me just keep the threshold value at 150, right? And I click apply. So if you notice, कोई भी होल भरा ही नहीं है. इसका मतलब क्या है, जो आपका ये एज है, हर एक कॉन्टूर के जो एज लेंथ है वो 150 से कहीं ज्यादा है. सो व्हाट आई एम नाउ गोइंग टू डू इज, आई एम गोइंग टू क्लिक हियर एंड change my threshold value to 500 and click on apply. तो अभी अगर देखा रहेगा तो अभी भी सिर्फ 2-3 होल्स ही भरे हैं, ये वाला और ये वाला. सो यू हैव टू कीप प्लेइंग विद द थ्रेशोल्ड नंबर्स till you get the correct value.